Zotwa and Temba were at a wedding recently, and Temba tried his hand at being romantic. As the music swelled, he leaned over and whispered to Zotwa, "You are more beautiful than half the women here." I'm in a very ecstatic mood tonight. You know, I was reflecting on the recent appointment of Pitso Mosimane as new coach of Egyptian giants Al Ahly. By the way, guys, it's pronounced Al Ahly. We've all been saying Al Ahly for many years, South Africans, it's Al Ahly. And you know, I thought to myself, we have all, all of us, we all have the right to be great. And Pitso has acknowledged that right about himself and went to grab this opportunity by the scruff of the neck. You too can do it. You can stay in the job that you don't want because you're afraid to try something new and great, or you can move to something better and even something scarier, but something that is worth it. You can start your business tomorrow rather than being afraid of failure, which is our biggest problem, all of us. So, you know, are you hungry enough for greatness? Pitso Mosimane reminded me of the hunger for greatness. So just know you have a right to be great and go get it. So good evening and welcome to Motivation Monday on Talk with Rams Live. I am not a motivational speaker. I leave that to Dr. T. And I'm glad it is Monday because with him in the room, that is exactly what he will be doing, motivating you to your greatness. So I will just facilitate the conversation because that's what I am. I'm a facilitator. Thank you for tuning in to the most powerful 30 minutes of digital content. We are live on Facebook and Instagram. We also post on YouTube and Twitter. Soon, I'll be proud to say we are live on all these platforms and more. We are growing, and that is thanks to you. Remember last week I announced that this weekend we will host our first of the seminars that we will be hosting with Dr. T. And then the first one was going to be titled, or is going to be titled, The Journey to Self-Discovery. This was scheduled for this Saturday, October 10th. Unfortunately, because of me, because of other things that got into my way, I've had to ask Dr. T to please give me another 2 weeks to finish the programs or the projects I'm busy with. So we can't do it until Saturday the 24th. It will still be between 10 a.m. and midday. And I promise you, as of tonight, or tomorrow at least, watch out for more details and the promotions so that you can register and be part of that seminar. I am so sorry for the inconvenience, but please note, we will take only a limited people in the room. So if you do not register soon, you will not make it into that webinar. Now then, you do not always get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. These words were said by our resident personal development coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda, author of the award-winning The Winning Mindset and global coach. But do you know how to negotiate yourself to greatness? Well, relax. Dr. T is in the room, and he's going to teach us about leveraging the art of negotiation. Dr. Thando Sibanda, good evening on this bright, shall we call it Tottenham Hotspur Monday evening?
Good evening, my brother. We commemorate the slaughter of the giants.
It was a tough week for the Giants, Dr. T.
It was. It was a week of humility.
Well, it's also a week of greatness. It's a week that shows that you are not too small to achieve greatness. Eh? I mean, look at Aston Villa and what they did to Liverpool.
Yeah. It's a coaching week for some of us that speak of the fact that you can be anything you dream to be.
Yeah. Now, if I never believed it, Dr. T, I promise you, last night when the referee said it's over, I then said, no, it can be done. If Aston Villa can do that to Liverpool, then I knew that we all can be great. So thank you very much, Dr. T. I hope you had a good weekend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very, very rested. I'm ready for the week. I'm ready for tonight. I trust that we will have some very good value out of our discussion this evening.
Let me quote you again, Dr. T. In life, in all its facets, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Learn how to negotiate. What is negotiation, Dr. T? The last time I heard that word, it led us to a country that we're living in today.
I know. Well, there's I'm going to define negotiation, and not so much in a dictionary term. Yeah, the dictionary term speaks of to arrange for or bring about through conference, discussion, and compromise. But I want to take it a bit deeper, Rams, and say we all negotiate every day. And we negotiate with our bosses, with our colleagues, with our spouses, with our children, with our customers, with our clients, the people we sell to, the people we buy from. We negotiate prices, goods, services, schedules, relationships, and so it's important to know that negotiation is not just for lawyers or wheeler dealers, it's for everybody, including you and me, and so if we are going to trade, eat and swap, we've got to learn the art of negotiation, because as you said, in life and all its facets, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Everybody who aspires to be successful needs to know how to negotiate and negotiate well. A lot of people work hard and they go home without the reward, not because they're not hard workers, but it's because they are bad negotiators.
Wow, because we are bad negotiators, and we go and we get into that bus in the evening or the train or in our cars, and we are very bitter because we did not negotiate. We are bad negotiators, and we think life gave us a bad hand when we did not negotiate for a good hand.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's also important to understand the concepts of negotiation, and I'd like to define it through its core concepts. I think there are about five pillars, right? The first one says negotiation, in fact, must be understood as a way of satisfying your interests, of getting what you need or what you want, right? Remember, we live in a web of relationships and interdependencies, and we rely on others to help us. So similarly, others approach us to help satisfy their own interests. So negotiation is a barter system that streamlines these exchanges between what we need and what others need. So negotiation helps us find a way around these different exchanges. So that's one concept of negotiation. Secondly, negotiation is a form of persuasive communication. Right. It is a way of getting others to do what we want them to do. And as such, it requires us to use all of our communication skills. I'm talking listening, asking questions, sharing information, interpreting information, framing proposals, reading body language, influencing, persuading. It requires empathy and understanding, knowledge, insight, diplomacy, and tact. So negotiation is very much a full bowl of both expression and understanding yourself and what you need to get out of the situation.
Dr. T, there are some times when people view negotiation negatively as something that looks like you are in confrontation with somebody. Is it that, or is negotiation really a form of finding collaboration in a way?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, negotiation is an opportunity to solve a problem in collaboration. You see, unfortunately, a number of people think, well, negotiation is an opportunity to beat an opponent, to squeeze as much out of him or her as possible. However, if two or more people are squeezing at the same time, then they are not likely to get what they want. So this approach is quite adversarial, and it doesn't bode well for future relationship building. Remember, if both parties can look at negotiation as a shared problem and strive to solve it together, they are more likely to satisfy their interests. So there's got to be that dual viewpoint into the concept of negotiation.
So they say in about 1985 or so, a group of Afrikaner politicians and business people went to Lusaka to speak to the ANC. And only in 1991, the talks began that led to 1994. Is it always a process, or could it be a once-off, an overnight thing?
That's a very powerful viewpoint, Rams. Negotiation is a process. You see, a lot of people think of it as an event where we sit at a table with someone, playing the negotiation game, trying to satisfy our own interests by squeezing or perhaps engaging in collaborative problem solving. The truth is that negotiation begins sooner than we think. It begins as soon as we set out to satisfy an interest, and it culminates in an agreement that ideally then satisfies our interests. So we shouldn't confuse the grand finale, the handshake, the signing of the contract, with the work, the research, and the preparation that gets us there. So it is a process, 100%.
And Dr. T, is it about me winning? I mean, we all want to win, Dr. T, whether it's in personal relationships, at home, with our children, at work, with our business partners, anywhere else where it is. If you are a football player, I'm sure Coach Peter Musimani got into negotiations with Al Ahly. Is it about me getting what I want, or is it a give and take show?
Look, negotiation has got different facets to it, but it should never be about me getting what I want at the expense of others. We're going to really, dig a bit deeper tonight and then add some of those aspects of negotiation. But, it's the art of bargaining. That's what it is. It's the process of persuasive communication that begins as soon as you realize, that there's an interest that you cannot satisfy on your own. That's very, very important. So now you need the other person and the other person needs you.
But why should we negotiate, Dr. T? Why does it matter? Right. Why can't we just go grab what we want?
Right. That's a very good one. And I know some who have done that, to say, hey, let's just go grab it, whether it's the land or the money or the bank, whichever it is. But remember, we negotiate because we want something that we can't get on our own. So that's the point. Even an employer, they want the skill that you have. They don't have the skill, you've got the skill, but you need the income that you don't have that they have. So the process of contracting you into an agreement to bring your skill and your time to the table is what we call negotiation. In fact, someone else is in a position to give us something that they don't, that they have, but we want what they have, which we don't have. You see, so that context, where there's a counterpart and there's ourselves, is then what we call negotiation. What we may not see is that our counterpart also wants something from us, or he wouldn't be negotiating with us. And so we do not seek how weak, we don't see how weak and how powerless they are, because they hide it. And so you can also not go to a negotiation already exposing how weak and how needy you are. I always say, if you sell yourself desperate, you will be bought very cheap. So we need to understand some of these things when we walk into a situation of negotiation. They call it keeping a poker face. You shouldn't be giving out your cards from the first moment you open your mouth. Yeah, no, you can pay me whatever you can manage. No, that's not how you negotiate. It's a process where we help each other get what we need.
But when you put it that way, Dr. T, you put it to me as though the only possible outcome of negotiation can be a win-win. Is that what it is? Or are there more possible outcomes there?
No, there's a number of outcomes. In fact, in any negotiation, there are always several possible outcomes. And this is very important for our viewers to know that, because if someone is walking into a negotiation, it's not the outcome you think in your head that is the only possible outcome. You see, they say thieves never think of any other outcome except the fact that he's gonna break into your house and steal your stuff. The fact that he could get caught and go to jail, they never think that far. But when you are going into a negotiation, there's one of three outcomes. The first one is a win-lose, which means one party wins and the other party loses. This can happen where the parties are mismatched. When one party is not prepared at all, in any case, the loser will resent the winner and any relationship between the parties will suffer, and so still we would all rather win than lose. And it is easy to see how this result could come about, because a lot of people resent their jobs, Rams, they resent their bosses, they resent their partners, because they feel that they did not get a fair deal in the negotiation. They lost something. That was a win-lose. You came out, and you felt, man, I lost there, I lost. And so you start resenting the other person.
And could there be a lose-lose, Dr. T?
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I know someone may be thinking, how can that be? Well, it's easy to see how one party might lose, but how can both parties, voluntarily agree to lose? Well, it isn't rational. Of course, it's not rational, but surprisingly, it's easy to become emotional in a negotiation, and one may agree to lose as long as he takes the other person down with him. I'm sure you've even heard that. No. If I'm not getting it, they are also not getting it. If I'm going down, they are coming down with me. So someone is prepared to lose, but drag the other person down with them. And that's a lose-lose situation.
What's the best outcome?
Well, the best outcome, of course, is a partial win, partial lose, where both parties get what they want, but neither has his interests fully satisfied. This seems fair because both of them come out better than they were when they started. And we all understand that we can't realistically expect to get everything we want. And this is very important, Rams, because when people go into negotiations, I remember even here in South Africa, when it was time for those contract negotiations, the workers' unions, some of those stalemates would run for five months. I remember there was one that ran unrealistically long. Why? Because nobody wanted to lose something. But you can have a partial win, partial lose, and the vision goes forward. Not everything you wanted you get, but you get somewhere, and I think that's very important.
I hope the folks are hearing well, because there's this concept, and I call it a very romantic concept of win-win. I think that better described, we actually should be talking partial win, partial lose. Because if it's going to be win-win, it means you must be able to lose something for the other partner to win. And they must be willing to lose something for you to win. So partial win, partial lose. That's the possible outcome. And I think I agree with you, Dr. T. It's the best outcome. If you're not willing to lose something, well, I'm going to be cruder than you, Dr. T. I think you're not adult enough if you're not willing to lose something in a negotiation. You gotta give something to get something. But then, Dr. T.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
How do I prepare? Tomorrow, Dr. T, literally tomorrow, I'm going for a negotiation of a potentially good deal. How do I prepare?
Hey, this is really good. This is a very timely discussion. Oh, lovely. No, this is a very timely discussion. You see, while negotiation is usually thought of as an event, it is in fact a process, right? This process begins the moment you have a perceived need or want, and you set out to satisfy it. Right. At this point, you may not even be thinking about negotiating, and sometimes you don't realize that you are negotiating unless you are doing it. If you realize then, you are already too late. In negotiation, preparation is everything. Rams, I always say, you never rise to the occasion. You will always descend to the level of your preparation. And so prepared people are propelled to their purpose. It's very critical to understand that. So when you go into a negotiation, preparation is everything, because you will always descend to the level of your preparation. I remember one Chinese military strategist, Sun Tzu, wrote, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you don't need to fear the result of 100 battles. Why? Because when you know the enemy and you know yourself, you can easily prepare, you can better prepare. And so one of the key things that you need to understand in terms of preparing for a negotiation is, guess what? Know yourself. That's number one. Know yourself. Know what do you want? Not what you think you want. No, what do you really want? If you walk into a negotiation saying, I know we're going to hear what they say, then I'll figure out what I want, you have already lost. Know what you want. Surprisingly, many people are unsure of what they want. For example, you may think that you want a raise in a salary. Perhaps you do, but you might really want something else. Maybe you want recognition, to be treated fairly, to maintain or improve your standard of living, or to provide a security for your future. A pay raise might do it, but there might be other ways to meet your needs. Know yourself. Know what you want. That's very critical as you walk into a negotiation. That's number one. Secondly, know your why. Once you've determined what you want, or what you think you want, ask yourself why you want it. This is very important. Remember, in a negotiation, a lot of variations come up. But when you've asked yourself a few times, you may realize that, you know what, this is what I want, and this is why I want it. You are able to motivate your position from the heart. Sometimes it's not just the medulla, it's not just the prefrontal cortex that functions in a negotiation process. Knowing why you want what you want will give you that added impetus from the heart, where you can speak to the heart of the issue. So you've got to know what you want and why you want it, because you cannot achieve a clear or satisfactory outcome in a negotiation unless you are very clear about your real interests, your goals, and why you want or you need that.
Okay.
Can I proceed? Right.
Yes, please.
Thirdly, you need to know your priorities in the negotiation. Rams, this is very, very important, right? Because you'll often find that you have got multiple interests of varying levels of importance, right? So you need to prioritize the most important first. For example, right, in negotiating a position with a new employer, you might be interested in many things other than salary, such as insurance plans and other benefits, a flexible schedule, work environment, work assignments, team assignments, and so on, right? Some of these are more important than others, right? You've got to prioritize your wish list into those items that you've got. Know what you are willing to bargain for. Know what you are willing to have. That's a nice have, but that's not necessary. But you must focus on what is your deepest priority. If your deepest priority is a good enough pay, that's what you fight for. If your deepest priority is that you want flexibility of working hours, that's what you focus on, because you can't get everything. Remember, we said it's a partial win, it's a partial lose, but know your priorities as you walk into a negotiation.
So you're saying to me, Dr. T, when I go into a negotiation, I must know my non-negotiables.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Know what you cannot lose, right? So that you can focus on your priorities and avoid being distracted by minor issues. I know a lot of people that have walked into negotiations and they came out with all the minors and lost the major, because they lost track of their thought and they lost track of what it is that was most important when they walked in there. You came out with the company cell phone, but you lost out on something more important. So you've got to understand that. Also, assess what resources that you have. Know what you bring to the table. What do you have that your counterpart might want? Because these are assets. We call them bargaining chips, right? Everything of value and anything of value you might offer in exchange. These are the currencies of your negotiation, and make sure that you speak to the currencies of your negotiation. Otherwise, you will walk into a negotiation and come out feeling like the other person really did you a favor by allowing you to even sit there. Because they pushed their position, you sat there, you kept quiet, you didn't even say, but this is what I bring to the table. And whatever they gave you, you acted like, you know what, it was a hands down kind of thing. You know, you can't do that. Know and assess what you bring to the table. Then you can articulate that.
Okay.
Right. And also, right,
yeah.
the tactics of and the strategies that you employ in a negotiation are very important. Know how to time yourself. Will you make the first offer or you wait for the other party to do so? What concessions are you willing to make? And when? What's your time frame? What is your walk away point? What is your plan B? A lot of times we mess things up by making the first offer. Sometimes keep quiet and listen for the offer they put on the table. And then you speak to that. Because a lot of times, believe me, a lot of times we sell ourselves very cheap. Someone comes there thinking, okay, this one, yeah, if they push, we will pay 100 grand. And guess what? You ask for 35 grand, finish, you will never get the 100. I'd rather ask them, what were you thinking? They're like, yeah, probably in the region of maybe 120. You know, like, okay, yeah, we can talk. So know how to speak and when to speak. Do you make the first offer? Do you wait and then respond to what they put on the table? It's very, very important.
The example you just made, Dr. T, just for me, from where I sit, points to where we began or somewhere in the middle where you said, you really need to know what you want. Because if you don't, anything will sway you in any direction. They will, I mean, I say in personal relationships, in romantic relationships, you know, they will promise you the train and the rail works and really not give you what really matters to you, because now you're focusing on a train and a rail works that Transnet could not even maintain.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You see, one other key thing that is used to distract people in a negotiation is that they sell you the future. They always sell you what you could become in the company. No, not what you are going to become. No, what you could become. They sell you where the company is going, and then they will always then put it to you that, no, take what you are not worth. Take a massive cut with the promise that of what you could become in the future. But if it doesn't meet your needs, you've got to get to a point where you know exactly what you want and what your cutoff point is, so that you are not bought very cheap.
Whew. Okay, Dr. T, I'll tell you what.
Yes, sir.
We just under a few minutes to the end of the show. And I think that we cannot get to the next stage where we now talk about, you know, the important part. Because for me, the important part now is the styles of negotiating.
Yes.
I think that you've prepared me enough. I think I'm ready enough to go into war tomorrow. And as you said, it's the beginning of the process. You know, it's not the end of the process. I think that we should put aside for next week the styles of negotiating, so that we spend enough time on those styles. And those are going to be the biggest tools for everyone to take with. For now, I think everyone must go and revise what you've shared with us. What do you think, Dr. T?
I agree 100%, because I don't want us to rush through them. Then it's about finishing the program and not necessarily imparting value. So yes, I agree. Let people just think through some of the things we've spoken about. Next week, we're gonna get deep into the 5 styles of negotiating and just really equip our listeners, you know, to become better negotiators.
Yeah, I look forward to that one, Dr. T, because I have found that most of us have one style of negotiation that we all adopt, and it's bad for us. We give up and we think it's a good style. You know, we think I'd rather forget about Dr. T because he's not listening to me. We need to learn to persuade and drive people to our point and make them see our point. So I can't wait to hear about those styles and those tools of great negotiation. And hopefully, Dr. T, I don't have to know all of them. I must just be perfect at about 70%, then I'll be there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's very, and in fact, what you said is very important, because a lot of times we give up and then we want to justify that by putting pride into it. Yeah, no, I walked out. I walked out of the negotiation. No, you lost out of the negotiation. You didn't just walk out, you know. Because if I had had the skill of how to negotiate, I could have sat there and we could have come out with an amicable position that would launch me into the next phase of my life. Rather than walking out, you know, feeling, yeah, no, I walked out, you know, I didn't hear, you know, they wanted to take out, I walked, you know. Sometimes when you've got the skill, you will suppress the emotion and you will let the skill speak for you and launch you into your greatness. That's very important.
Whew. So, folks, imagine if we're in the same room and we're having this webinar and we don't have to postpone to next week and we can engage and ask questions and talk for 2 hours. Let's do it better in a seminar. I'm not saying we're not doing this thing. This platform will be there forever. For as long as Dr. T is willing to share with us, he's going to be part of this platform. But I urge you, please, look out tomorrow for the details. Do join us for this webinar. It's happening 2 Saturdays from now, the 24th of October. You want to register, we're going to take only a few people in the room. So I hope to see you there. Please don't miss it, because you will never become any better if you do. Thank you, Dr. T, and have a great evening.
Thank you, my brother. Look forward to seeing you again next Monday.
Excellent, we shall indeed. Tomorrow is Opportunity Tuesday. We're back, by the way, to normal programming. The summit was done. Thanks to all of you who followed us with the summit. I hope that you've made great connections with some of the people there. I hope you follow Dan Willis. He's amazing. I've been following him now. He's teaching Freddie and I a few things about what to do with this platform. You know, we're going to be bringing some of them onto this platform as regular guests going forward. But for now, we're back to normal programming. So you will enjoy Opportunity Tuesday tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. From me, Rems Mabote, good night and God bless.